you this new feature that we are working on. So it's add end user's IdP information to host vitals. Basically, what it means, I'm going to show you some designs and some prototypes in Figma. So yeah, we'll have this like integration with identity providers. So and what we do is we're going to leverage scheme protocol. So yeah, we'll have this card here. I will point you to our like new guide that will help you to connect IDP to Fleet. So for now, I just have like Okta instructions here. I won't go through it, so like it will be live soon. But yeah, we are going to add also like Entra and probably Authentic, this open source identity provider, which yeah. So basically, once you go through these steps, create like your scheme app in Okta, and it communicates with Fleet, then at that point Fleet will in Fleet UI you'll see basically that Fleet received some end user information from IDP, and like you'll see timestamp. So that means okay, everything was successfully connected. From there, like how it works, like if you go to your host, for example, you can see here there is no like email, and this is email used to map host to your IDP user. So there is two ways actually how you can add. So one probably most common will be where you'll automatically enroll your host through Apple AD from Apple Business Manager, and then at that point, like users asked to authenticate. Once they are authenticated, like Fleet collects email and map and adds that mail directly to your host, and then it's used to map to IDP. The other way is you can add user manually, where you could type some email, save it at that point, okay, it's added, and then Fleet checks, okay, is this user available in my IDP? In this case, like, okay, it is, there is full name, and there are some groups, you can see more groups as well. So yeah, that's it. Other than that, there is some more information, which is like Google Chrome profiles. Basically, Fleet tracks what Google Chrome profiles user have. Like if, for example, user logged with multiple profiles, it will be surfaced here. And also like other email, it's just that's Fleet has another option like to have some custom email you can add via API, but that's it. And also like you'll be able, let's say that there's some use case where you need manually to change user for any reason, you'll be able to edit user email and then map against other IDP user via this mail. So that's how this will work. So basically, you connect your yeah. I'll talk a little bit more about it, but yeah, in Okta, for example, there are yeah, there's applications. You'll create your application and enable provisioning, do the mapping here, enable some stuff. Everything is described step by step in our guide. Once, yeah, and then also you'll use your base URL that you'll get from like basically it will be Fleet instance, and then some base URL for scheme. You need to provide token from Fleet. Once that's done, Fleet will connect to Fleet, send some request, and then you'll know okay it's working. After that, it will push any change to users that are assigned to this application. So it could be all users, and then also you'll be able to push groups. That way, Fleet know okay that this user belongs to these groups. So yeah, like it's do this application integration in Okta, enter ID, and then it's add basically user email to Fleet either through automatic enrollment flow or manually, and at that point Fleet can map your user here to the host. Additionally, I think yeah, and just wanted to mention that you'll be able to search for for the user also like by that email. That's also possible today in Fleet. So you can find user via that email. Plus, when you open, you'll have these like additional information and groups. And in the future, we are aiming to add more functionalities, such as having labels based on groups. So you could say, okay, I want to install some software just for my engineers, or my designers should have Photoshop, marketing team should have this, and so on. Uh, yeah, that's for this part. It's more into technical details on how this works. So it's Scheme protocol is REST API-based protocol, basically, that yeah, it's standardized way to send users from application to application, let's say. So in this case, sending it from IdP to other apps such as Fleet. So in general, it works in a way that you need to have like, so usually IDPs are, or actually they are clients in this case, where they send or they send requests to server. In this case, Fleet would be Scheme server. So yeah, like the way it works, like Scheme server must support certain like endpoints that accept certain kind of requests, and then also should respond with specific response that's defined in the Scheme protocol. So in general, how this works, like when you assign a user to, like when you say, okay, I want to push this user from for example, IDP to some other application, in this case, Fleet. What it does, it first like checks, okay, does this user with this username, and username is like in Okta is, for example, email. Does this and I think yeah, in Entra as well. So does this user with this username exist? If no, okay, then hit this post users endpoint to create that user and store on the server, in this case Fleet. Or if it exists, then you should update that user with profile updates. So like could be that role changed or name changed or whatever, email changed. Yeah, that will be. So the interesting thing here is this username, or what I showed here in Fleet, like this email, is used just first time when Okta is sending. It's checking, okay, is there a user with this username, and then once it's created, then ID is generated, and then after that, this ID is used. So basically, no matter if like this, even if this email changes on Okta side, then the user is referenced by this ID, and then changes are synchronized. So like that's a really good thing that you have this identifier that's generated on the server and then sent also to the client. So both keep track of that. So at that point, once user is added, it's always like referenced via that ID instead of the username. Username is just for the first time. So yeah, that's how it works. So I'm going to show you, like I created some like proof of concept server that accept a requests from Scheme client. In this case, I'm going to use Okta. I wrote this guide on how to do it. So like I'll just follow. Probably it's not fully up to date. We'll update some stuff here, but anyway. So how it works is I'll first, before I forget, I'll just run my server. I'm going to like run ngrok, so I share my local host, so it's publicly available in this domain. And also there is like some front end that's available, so you can see those things easier. And then yeah, let me do, so like I'm in Okta applications page. And then what I'm going to do, create app integration. You select SAML. The thing is, we won't use this for SSO, so those like SSO related stuff are not so important. So like you can just have some dummy data, but like that's the requirement, you need to do that. Also, you could have like one app for SSO and like Scheme provisioning, but let's see. Okay, it's Fleet. fleet skim, I'll call it that way. I'll generate the app. So for this one, I'll just do, could be anything. I'll just have it fleet, and that's it. You could press next, and then yeah, just remember those tabs that it's described here. Then I'll just skip feedback for now. And we have app created. So now you need to jump to general. Here in the app settings, there is like this skim thing that we need to enable. Once enabled, then this new provisioning tab appears. And this tab is all about skim provisioning, basically. So what we need to do is we need skim connector base URL. In this case will be MindGrook. I'll copy that one. Get faulting. Okay, cool. And then all my endpoints are starting with skim v2, and then like will be users or whatever. But you need just to provide like a base, and then unique identifier for users is username. So that skim attribute is called username, and then we use that, and basically Okta also. Okta is mapping their like username from their user profile to this skim username. I'll show you that. We need to say push new, push all these push. We want to import anything from Fleet. And then authentication is bearer token. I have just a simple server, so like it's hard coded here. And then at this point, what happens is I'm going to open skim local host. It's there. I'll just do side by side. So now if I press test, everything should run successfully. Okay, we see that all create push groups are fine. It's connected successfully, so that now we can save. So otherwise you can say if something is wrong, if your skim server isn't accepting like all stuff. And then here if I refresh, you can see there is like, basically what Okta did is like just hit like this /users with like empty request body, and then Fleet and Okta expects this to get back, and if that's what Okta get, like then it's kind of successful. So yeah, that's how it works. So now what I need to do is also like here to app, I need to edit this. I need to enable create user, update user, deactivate user, and save. Yeah, it just means that this, like when it's sending to app, it can do these kind of things. And then there is like, there is a bunch of these, bunch of skim attributes, you see. And this username is actually used as a kind of first or way to check if this user exists in Fleet for the first time. If I go to my users, I'll go to people here, and I'll do okay, so here if I open this chart, I have some dummy data. In the profile, see like you have this login, and this login is mapped to the username. I'm not sure, like usually you can set value, but this seems to be like, okay, it's configured somewhere else, and this is like you don't need to do like to touch this. It works basically. It maps to your login or username from Okta profile, and then like so Fleet today accepts just given name and family name. So all of these are basically not necessary. So yeah, it will take me some time probably to remove all of these. Okay, this is what we need now. So we got this. Let me just remind myself, okay, I've entered this authentication, I've set these. Again, then this is interesting part where you need to assign users and groups to this like schema application. So Okta or it won't just send data to Fleet, but you need to do some assignments here. So it's interesting that like it's kind of separate. You have assignments of users and assignments of, or they call it push groups. So what happens, like you could assign people here, you could assign and say, okay, assign group here, and all people from the group will be sent to Fleet. But also, then you can't assign the same group here for some reason. So like the best practice here that I found is what we will do is I'll go to my groups and I have this like Fleet scheme. So I think I'll call it Fleet human wise mapping. So I'll have that group. If I get back to groups, there's rules. So you can create rule. So I have this one. So basically, if you say add rule, you could say, okay, name it, and then if you do like use a basic condition, and you could say, okay, group membership if includes, and then you say, okay, designers, and then you include groups here. So that's what I did. So what I did, I said, okay, if user is a member of any of these groups, then assign it to Fleet human device mapping. So what happens here, like if in your production environment, you might have like many groups, but then you will set up that once and that's it. So like you would say, okay, give me, or what you could do is like just do everyone. There's like usually everyone group. But yeah, like you could say, okay, I want a specific groups. There's 10, 20 groups that I want to push to Fleet, and then you do that. So each time when some user joins this group, it's automatically pushed to Fleet. So now let's get back to the application that we created and assign this this group that we created. So Fleet scheme, I'll just assign to group, and I'll do this Fleet human device mapping. Okay, assigned, save and go back, done. You see it's assigned, but if I jump to people, I'll see everyone who's member of this group. So now if I go to here, you'll see there is like a bunch of requests. It sent some users, and you see here there's 9 users, so should be good. So those are users, and you see there is like if I jump to groups, there's no groups right away. So I just have users. So now what I need to do is like, okay, because I had rule, I had those 3 groups that pointed to this group we rule. I will go to push groups, and then I'll find groups by name, and I'll say, okay, engineering, and then I'll just save and add another. Then I'll do product, and there is designers, I think, yeah. Save and add another. So if I close this, see there is 3 groups. And now, if I refresh, you see there is 3 groups. Each group has some members, and they are properly assigned. If I refresh this, no. You see like there are requests. So basically, I won't go into details here, but basically, usually what happens now, you see this. It first checked if this user John Doe at 1MDM space exists, because it didn't, like resource 0. It created like post create user, and then same for other users. Plus, there is groups. Okay, it created those, added those groups. There's still probably requests are going on. And usually if something is wrong, then you see errors here with some error back from your server. Let me double check something. Just do this thing with force sync to see. Okay, something was stuck, so now you see that like also group is assigned to each user here. I can show you if I refresh this page, you see, okay, now everybody has a group that it belongs to. So, and also you can see group and how many members is there, and then you can see like there's like these requests are basically okay. Let's like put means okay. Let's update these users with specific ID and add groups to them. So that's yeah. It's sometimes stuck, but then I found like this force sync will do the thing basically where it will resend. But I feel like on yeah, like I didn't think through this like server super or too much. It's like a proof of the concept just for the case of like testing. So and to show like what's happening, um, which yeah works for this purpose. And yeah, I just wanted to know what that's how it with these like IDs. So now like each user actually has this ID, and each user has a external ID. So external ID is like from it's some value that Okta uses, I guess, to reference user in their database. But whenever it comes to communication between Okta or any other IDP and Scheme server, then this ID is what is important. So what happened is like in this case, Okta sent like get user John Doe. Since that user wasn't available in my server, then Okta said, okay, let's create this user. And then what Okta did, send this like body of like all information that they have. So if I had other attributes like title or department and stuff, those will also be sent. But I've excluded those in the mapping section uh, here. And then response body from Fleet was after Okta said like, okay, create this user, was to also included ID. So Fleet created ID, stored that ID, sent to Okta, Okta stored that ID. And at this point, every other time when something needs to be changed for this user, it will be referenced via ID. So now, like you see here, it's not like put user and then like this email or username, but now always ID is used. So no matter even if I go and if I go to some user, um, I would do Miss Charles. I'll go to his profile and edit this username. I'll just add Y here. New request should be so okay. Yeah, see Charles request body. So now it hit like okay this ID which is Charles ID, and then Okta said hey there's new username, and Fleet responded okay I changed that username for this user. So that's in general how it works. Um, yes, feel free to reach out to me if you have any other questions. I think I've covered everything.